Hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of MidAmerican Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and today we're coming to you from the Blooming Idiot in Seymor, a beautiful daylily farm. We're going to tell you how to plant them, when to plant them, and where to plant them, and even show you some really rare varieties of these gorgeous daylilies. So let's go find Ben, the owner, and get started. All right, and I am here with the owner of the Blooming Idiot. This is Ben Montez. Did I say that correctly?
That's right.
Okay, so you're the brains behind this operation.
Well, as it were, yeah.
Now tell us a little bit about how did all this got started?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I've always been a gardener. I've been a gardener since I was like about 12 years old, and I have a garden at my house. And I started growing daylilies. I just happened to run into a daylily farm in Indiana, where my son was going to a wrestling camp. I coach wrestling as well, and I bought a bunch of plants and I had them in my front yard and I was planting them. And somebody stopped their car and they said, "Would you be interested in selling me some of those plants?"
And that did it.
And well, but you never think about it, and I said, "Sure," and if anybody asks me, I'll always, sell them or give them some plants.
Sure.
And at that time, I think we probably had about 100 daylilies. We found a spot out in Tolono. We were working out in Tolono, but then we moved here because we had a lot more space, and they were much more easier to work with, with what the demands that they had on the land itself, and the space was bigger as well. So you see, Kat gave us a nice spot here.
Yes, lovely. And so in 15 years, you took those few plants and turned it into how many hundred throughout?
Well, we have about 450, 500 varieties of daylilies now. We have about 350 here at this location in Seymor, and then we have about another 250. Although there's some overlap between the two groups at our house in Champaign. I don't know. This is what you see.
Did you ever envision that small plant sale would turn into the Blooming Idiot?
Or that I would turn into the Blooming Idiot, right?
You yourself, personified,
this is about what I wanted. This is about what I thought it would be. Thanks to my wife and my son and friends, we are able to do this,
And you've turned it into a lovely business. I mean,
it's not like something. There are bigger operations, and
sure,
and probably a little more stylish as well. But I like the way this is set up like this because you can see all the flowers at once. If you go to some of the other daylily gardens, they're actual gardens. They're laid out, and they're designed, and they put a lot more thought into it than we do. Here we just have a mother plant. We have one main plant, and then we line out other plants for sale. And make it easier to sell the plants.
Okay, let's talk about some of the varieties. So I said maybe we could talk about a few, and you absolutely delivered on that. So just to give folks an idea, you say you've got 350, 400 some varieties, but this is just literally a drop in the bucket.
Oh, that's right. Literally a drop in the bucket. That's right.
All right.
And this right here, this is probably our biggest seller here, and this is called Primal Scream, and I think that the color and the way that it looks is makes it live up to its name, and it's just a beautiful plant. And almost all these plants are fragrant too, by the way. And there are so many varieties. I mean, it seems like people will tell you, there's this kind of variety, that variety. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can see the difference in the plants, and
so pretty.
We have some we have these dark ones, Smith Brothers. That's one of the darkest daylilies available.
I like the ones with the frilly edges. Those are pretty cool too.
The frilly edges, yes. So we have like this one.
Yes,
this is
very pretty.
Double Delight. It's like it looks like a little rose, a little carnation. This is French Lingerie. No, not really. This is called French Lingerie, and it has these the frills on the edges. Sometimes the frills are more pronounced, and they're sharp, and they call them teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's
um,
just so much variety, like the sizes. You've got some really great big blooms and then some
oh
really
yes.
kind of small, dainty ones.
Speaking of the great big bloom, here is Sarah Christine. Sarah Christine. I mean,
Wow,
this has just started to open right here, and you can see that
that's a big
it's what,
one.
about 8 inches, maybe 8 inches there. When the plant is in full bloom, these blooms will be 10, 11 inches.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
just they're really huge.
Earlier you mentioned the ones that curl.
Yes, and
What
these are,
causes that? Do you know?
well,
Nature?
they breed for them.
Oh, okay.
They
That
will
was the
they
characteristic that
Yes,
they wanted.
they breed for these types of plants. Sometimes they happen by accident, like the one that I had shown you before.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a spider plant. You can see that the way that the leaves all move out all out together,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very separate. And then they get to the end of it and they curl down. That's called a crispate form. And then, what was the other one? Oh,
There's just so
we
many
have
to
some
choose from.
very different colors too. This is called milk chocolate, and it's a brown daylily. And there are a few brown daylilies, but none quite as pronounced as that. Milk chocolate is one of my favorites.
So what is it about the daylily that captivated you and made you turn this into a business? I mean, you could have chose any plant. Why
Well,
the daylily?
that's right. Um, as time went on, I mean, friends would see my garden and they would say, "Well, you can't eat flowers." Well, the intention wasn't to eat flowers. The intention was to you get sort of captivated by the beauty
Yes.
of the plant, And if you saw my house is my house. I said my wife, me and my wife, um, our house is just covered with flowers,
Mm-hmm.
just surrounded flowers and plants, and my wife is a shade plant grower,
Mm-hmm.
and so like close around the house under the trees we have all these shade plants, hostas, and a lot of woodland plants, and then out in the sun are my plants,
Yes.
the flowers, the daylilies. And as time went on, I grew less vegetables. Now I only grow tomatoes and peppers, and the rest is all flowers.
The rest is all
The rest
flowers.
is all flowers, and I just love them. And you can wake up in the morning sometimes, and you can just smell the
Yes.
flowers.
Yes.
Early in the
Yes.
morning, or even late at night. Some of these flowers are late bloomers or night bloomers, like these ones here. These are,
That's a night bloomer.
yes, these are species daylilies too, by the way. I have about 8 or 9 varieties of species daylilies, and they're kind of fading right now
Mm-hmm.
because they bloomed all night, and
Oh.
sometimes they tend to fade during the day. Um, but these night bloomers are very fragrant, and a lot of times when I plant them, I'll plant them someplace near where I sit,
Mm-hmm.
at night, so you
So
can
you can get a
smell them.
good whiff
That's
of
right.
them.
That's
So
right.
folks can come out here and actually, this isn't just to enjoy for you. This is a working farm. Folks can come out here and purchase,
That's
and
right.
then you literally dig them up,
That's
pot
right.
them up, and send them home with
That's right.
folks.
We also
Wow.
sell flowers at the farmers market too.
Very nice. Very nice.
So we're actually at the farmers market most Saturdays during the summer.
Well,
Um,
let's walk through the field. I would love to have you show us a few more varieties that you've got,
okay.
and then talk a little bit about care and what folks need to do to keep them healthy and happy once they get them home. But I'd love to walk through the fields and see what all you've got.
Okay.
Okay. Now that myself and all the viewers want all of these, when people buy them from you, how do you take care of them in your landscape? Is this a relatively low maintenance plant, or does it take a lot?
They're about as low maintenance as you can get. Typically, what I tell people is when you buy a plant, or when you get a plant from us, soak it in water overnight.
Okay.
All right, so it takes up as much water as it can, and then you can put it in the ground and keep it wet until it starts to put up new leaves.
Okay.
And then after that, you can pretty much consider it'll be on its own.
Okay, so set it
And
and forget it, huh?
well, yeah, pretty much. And the soil requirements, these plants grow well in good soil, poor soil.
Mm-hmm.
One of the places that I buy these from in Indiana, the soil is so sandy that I mean, you could pick it up and it just sort of crumbles in your hand.
Wow.
And yet the plants, the fields look just like this.
Now I'm noticing some spent blooms. Do you have to do any deadheading
You know,
with
I think
daylilies?
that if you want to do deadheading, um, it's mostly for cosmetic. But if you want to cut it back, if you want them to keep growing, like if you want them to keep flowering, the best thing you can do is give them a little fertilizer,
Okay.
just a little fertilizer. They don't require a lot, and water. The more water you give it, the more it'll flower.
How many times per season are you going to get these to flower? Is it just once a year?
Most plants bloom once a year. I have probably about 20 or 25 that bloom a second time.
Ooh.
So a lot of times the early bloomers, the plants that bloom early in the say early summer, late spring, if they bloom then, there's a good chance they'll bloom again in August.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And I've also noticed there's some pretty good height differentials here. So we've got, these are pretty tall, but right next door, these are a little short.
Yeah,
So, when people ask you, when they just come out here and say, I'm looking for this color, you also have to take height
that's
into
right.
consideration
No, that's
too.
right.
Let's talk about that.
And where they want to put it in the garden, right? I mean, if you want it to be seen, if you have a short plant, you're going to put it in the front. If you have a taller plant, you can put it behind just about anything else that you have. I mean, these plants right here, some of these, like that red one there, this gold one, and these purple ones right here, you can set them up against the wall, against the fence, against a garage, and they will be seen.
Very nice. And they transplant well, I'm assuming, since your people are...
Some people like to do them in the spring or in the fall. I dig plants all year, and it's how you treat the plants. When I dig them up, I put them immediately in water, and let them soak up as much water as they can before we take them to the market.
Lovely. Any other advice or tips for folks if you're just trying to get these established? Any hacks, any behind the scenes hacks that you have found that would really help our at-home gardener?
Well, you know what I did when I dug up this field here. When we first dug up this field, we put down about 2 inches of sand on the soil, and then we tilled it under, and we made so that the field drains better. And then when you pull the plants out too, you're not taking big clumps of dirt with it. So the dirt falls away from the roots very easily. And I got that from a friend of mine who has that friend of mine from Indiana who has a very sandy soil. And she showed me how easy the dirt fell away, and I thought that was great. Gosh, that's really smart.
That's really helpful.
And it was easy to do too. So, except lugging that sand. Lugging that sand was not an easy chore.
So I told you purple was my favorite color. I'd love to go see some purples.
Want to see my favorite purple?
Yes, let's go.
Actually, there's 2 of them, and they're right next to each other. There's 3 of them. Oh, look at that. Okay, so I've got.
Ooh.
So I've got this one is Strutter's Ball, and I call this a royal purple. This is really a beautiful royal purple.
Gorgeous.
And then this is Tralita.
Tralita?
Tralita, and it's a little bit darker.
These are so pretty. I wish people could smell what we smell right now.
That's a spider.
Now, when we talked earlier about folks hybridizing these, are we looking for colors? Are we looking for height? When you start tinkering with different things, the edges and,
Yes, look at that, green and...
Yes, now that's a stunner.
That's cool.
But just to look at these, the edges on all of them, they're just so unique. And somebody just decided one day, I'd like this, and they worked for it.
It's a lot of work to hybridize plants, and my hat's off to the people that are willing to do that much work. We've been to some daylily farms where they do a lot of hybridizing, and they may have like thousands, 10,000 seedlings that they go through.
Oh my gosh!
I don't have that kind of patience. I don't have that kind of space, and I don't have that kind of time. But some people do, and that's how we come up with plants like these.
Gorgeous.
I mean, a lot of the hybrid. I mean, how do you come up with a orange like the primal screen? So they know what they're looking for, and they have to. It takes about 3 years for a plant to flower and to look representative of what kind of plant they're going to get. like I say, my hat's off to them. They do a great job, and they've given us these plants that we have here now. I mean, there's over 100,000 varieties of daylily,
Wow.
of registered varieties.
You better get on it.
Well, you know, I've got about 3 or 4 that have just sort of self-hybridized here in this field, and some of them are really nice.
Wow.
I'm really pleased with them.
So when folks come
But I
out
wasn't
here,
trying to do it though.
they tell you which ones they want. There's a system. They
Mhm.
come out and kind of mark where they are because everything's kind of on a map, so you
That's
know
right.
where it's at.
That's right.
And then you just grab a shovel and dig them up.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
You want me to show you how I do it?
yeah. Let's see how the process works.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I have found the one that has captured my heart. What is this one called?
This is called Smith Brothers.
Smith Brothers.
And for a long time, this was the darkest daylily that was available.
This one is
for a long
gorgeous.
time.
This is the one.
We have some other ones that are a little bit darker, but I don't think they're as attractive. This has that nice gold center, the throat, and it has nice height to it too. It sort of stands out in a garden.
So let's pretend I've got these at home and, well, let's just learn the process of digging them for customers.
The basics are that you want to dig a little bit away from the plant. So you don't want to come up right up to the edge of the plant.
Okay.
You've got to dig back a little bit further, maybe 6 to 8 inches away.
Okay.
And dig straight down. Okay. So
not at an angle.
Not at an angle, because you want to make sure that you get the roots out. I mean, so you get the dirt away, and then you can always replace the dirt. But if you break the roots too much, you can't replace the roots. So you get away a little bit, dig straight down.
Okay. Here's some snapping in
Heard
there.
a little crack.
Yep.
Then I just take it. Remember I was telling you about how I put the sand in the soil?
Yes.
So that the
This is for this part where
yes,
it comes
so that
away nice and easy.
So the dirt falls away.
Now you said that you wash them really good. Is that?
I just wash them so they look good.
Okay,
You
so
know?
they look good. I didn't know if
So-
it was because sometimes they talk about that if you share things from your garden,
You know what I
rinse
do?
them off.
What would I do when I take these plants out? And I would suggest you do it too when you get it home. Wash it with like maybe dilute some bleach.
Okay.
Okay, maybe to about 1%.
Okay.
And then let it sit in the bleach solution for maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Gotcha.
Okay, and that'll be used to get rid of it. Now, typically what I do too is I will cut the plant right here.
Oh, got it.
Okay, and that's for a couple of reasons. Number one is that it will require less water for the plant when you put it in the ground. Okay, and the other part is the plant can basically do one of 3 things. It can grow roots, it can grow vegetation, leaves, or it can grow flowers. Okay, when you cut it off here, you cut off the flower and you cut off the vegetation. So that means
So
it can
really
direct all its
focus.
energy. It can direct all its energy to growing roots.
Okay.
So it helps the plant to establish better. But if people want to keep the flower, I don't blame them.
Sure.
And-
It's something
and-
beautiful to look at.
But what you have to do then, you have to dig it a little bit. You have to put it in a little bit deeper, and you might have to stake it up a little bit.
Okay.
And and really just water it more.
Just water it a little bit more.
All you gotta do is water it a little bit more.
Now, when people transplant these from you, can they expect them to then flower the following year, or is there a process where it's kind of got to reacclimate?
Well, it depends. If there are people that are now ordering plants from that field, and if they get the plants, say the middle of July, they may still flower this year.
Okay.
But most of the plants, once they flower, they typically don't flower anymore. I've got a couple plants, and I will tell them if they are purchasing a plant that will be reflowering, reblooming again. Okay.
Oh my gosh. And then one thing I didn't ask, light needs. Let's talk about how much sun daylilies need.
The more sun you give a plant, the better. I mean, look at these blooms. These blooms are all nice. They're big. They're bright. I have maybe about 30 daylilies that I have sitting under a 40-foot oak tree.
Oh.
And they're blooming. They're beautiful. And in fact, some of the colors are more vibrant.
Really?
Yes. The only thing about it is if you plant in shade, it'll take longer for the plant to mature. And the plant may not have as many blooms. Okay,
Gotcha.
um, but once they start producing, they're fine and they'll bloom for a good long time. The light colored and the yellow ones do best in the shade.
Light color and yellow do best in the shade.
Now,
Noted.
I have a red one over here called Lusty Leland. What a name, huh? That I have blooming in front of my house, and it is a beautiful plant. It puts out dozens of blooms every year. So,
Okay. All right, let's go give this old gal a bath.
there you go.
This section here are the newcomers to the farm, yeah?
Yes, these are some of the plants, and when they get big enough, I'm going to line them out in the field. Here is one here that I'm waiting. It grows very slow.
Oh, wow.
It's called Velvet Eyes. You see, it's red with a really dark red center. That's a beautiful plant. And
very pretty.
I was telling you about, for the Smith brothers, used to be the darkest. This is one of the darkest ones now.
Black cat.
It's called Black Cat.
She's gorgeous too.
And I've had a lot of people asking me for that one. And it just hadn't been ready. I think it might be ready this year though. So
these aren't even for sale.
No, typically they're not for sale.
Oh my gosh, we're getting a sneak peek of.
And we have this one here. See how this is purple with the green center there. That is a beautiful plant.
So typically, how long do they spend in the baby field before they move?
That red one back there, that's been here for like 5 years. It's been growing so slowly that I really haven't had much of a chance. This is one that a friend of mine gave me last year. Look at that.
Just gorgeous.
And this is one that I've been kind of waiting on. This is orange Nassau, and this is like a velvet. Will be a velvet orange with the frilly edges on it.
They're all, even the ones that are in the same color family, all have their own look, their own unique look, texture, edges. So pretty. Our last stop today is the late blooming section of the farm. So tell us a little bit about this.
Okay, this was probably the part that of this my business that I really am proud of. I love late season flowers, and you know, one thing that I really like about daylilies is they have such a wide variety of blooming seasons. These plants do not start blooming until middle of July, and some of them start blooming in August, and a lot of them will keep blooming until frost.
Wow.
I have a couple plants here that we dug one. It was in the plant. It's called Final Touch, and that blooms till frost regularly.
Wow.
And even afterward. I mean, I've had them blooming almost to Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
I have another one up there called On and On that is blooming now, and it will bloom until about Thanksgiving.
You were telling us that you get some reactions from folks when you have either the flowers or the plants themselves out at the market, and even kids come up and they're interested.
That's right. And kids will come up and they want to smell the flowers, and the mother might say, or the parents will say, do you want one of these for your garden? And I say, oh, you have a garden? And the kid shakes their head and say, yeah. I said, well, I will give you a plant. How about that?
Wow.
I'll give you a plant, and all you have to do is next year you bring me a picture of the plant and the flower, and I will give you another one.
That's a great program. I mean, come on, kids, stop the blooming idiot.
You know, that's how my mom.
No, you're right. That
too.
Inspiration. That not to be, not to pun, but planting that seed, right, in little kids.
That's
that's how we got started.
That's right. And it does start somewhere. And sometimes kids pick it up on their own, and sometimes if you have a child that loves the garden, encourage it.
Encourage them.
Push it up a little bit. So.
Wonderful. Well, Ben, thank you so much for letting us come out to your farm. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. It's absolutely beautiful out here. If folks see this, when they see this, and they want to reach out, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, I have a Facebook page. I'm sorry that I don't have a website. I'm just too lazy to do that.
Too busy.
We can call it what we want, right? They
can visit your Facebook page.
They're on the Facebook page, and I'm at the market from the middle of June to the middle of August
Okay.
on Saturdays.
Wonderful.
Okay. We have a field sale the first weekend in July and the second weekend in August. So we have a field sale for the early season flowers,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll have another field sale for this field.
Gotcha.
And when they come here, this field will be spectacular. Everybody else, gardens will begin to wane. This one will be going
And
strong.
that'll be going strong. Okay.
Yes, yes,
So
ma'am.
put that on your calendar and check the Facebook page to catch
That's right.
that fall sale.
That's right.
Wonderful. Okay.
That's
Thank you so much for letting us come out.
Thank you for
And
coming.
thank you so much for watching. This was a wonderful day out at the flower farm. If you've got questions for us, you can send them in to yourgarden@gmail.com or search for us on socials and just look for MidAmerican Gardener. That's the show for tonight. Thanks so much for watching.